John, put that back.
Why?
Aunt Millie's spaghetti sauce.
Who?
When I was a kid in New York, my mama used to buy a great tasting sauce from a neighbor, Aunt Millie.
Could this be the same?
100% natural. Lots of tomatoes, slow simmered for natural sweetness. No sugar added like that one.
Bet your mama could tell.
I know that taste, Aunt Millie's. There's no other spaghetti sauce quite like it.
Aunt Millie's, 100% natural, no sugar added.
It's Strange and Spooky Week on The Muppet Show with Vincent Price, Doug Henning, and Marty Feldman. Don't miss the frantic fun with The Muppets beginning Wednesday at 7:30 on Channel 2.
Poor Losers, tonight at 6 and 11.
Up to the Minute with Mike Wallace, Morley Safer, Harry Reasoner, and Ed Bradley. Today, violence on the screen. Has it gone too far?
Today, violence is more honestly shown. You do show that when you're shot, rather nasty things happen to your body.
I'm Ed Bradley. This week on Up to the Minute, we're looking at violence, its causes, and how people are reacting to it. Many people feel that if you're looking for a major contributing cause, you need look no further than the screen at your local movie theater and the screen on your television set at home. Today, we're going to examine the movies and television. With us are Dr. Thomas Hezakya, a psychiatrist and head of the National Coalition on Television Violence, a nonprofit group whose goal is to reduce violence in the media. David Cronenberg, writer and director of numerous R-rated and violent films. Dr. Hezakya's group monitored Mr. Cronenberg's most recent film, Scanners, and clocked it at 47 violent acts per hour. And Towns Osborne, president of the Washington, D.C. Association for Television and Children. She's the mother of 2 children, ages 3 and 11. We'll begin in just a moment.
Fruit of the Loom, guys.
Did you think your mom would send you on a hiking trip with just anybody?
Right, guys. I know how rough camping can be, and Fruit of the Loom really stands up to Tim's kind of fun.
Thanks to our Superman waistbands.
Snaps back, wash after wash.
That's quality at a low price.
Something a mother really loves. I hope you'll be okay on your first hike, Timmy.
Don't worry, Mom. The guys will be with me.
Boys cotton briefs with Superman waistband, only $1.33 each.
Oh, no, there's only one trash bag left.
That's okay.
How am I going to stuff all that in there?
Overstuff it. It's a hefty.
Hefty can take it, 'cause we make it tough enough to overstuff.
Tough industrial strength plastics. Let Hefty stretch where most bargain bags break. More stretching for more stuffing, so you can use fewer bags.
Oh, that's
in here.
Hefty trash bags.
Tough enough to overstuff.
I'd like to begin with 2 postulates about violence. 1, to most of us, violence is repulsive. 2, to almost all of us, violence, perversely, is fascinating. Admit it, even as you clench your teeth in anger and indignation over news of the latest murder, rape, or robbery, if you're completely honest with yourself, you know way down inside you that spasm of curiosity, that twinge of excitement, triggered off involuntarily by the stimulus of violence. Please keep this paradox in mind as we turn to the movies to explore America's romance with violence. This happens to be a good time to do so because the word from Hollywood is that the coming trend there is the revenge movie. Just such a movie was in the works when we went on location this summer at a county park in Southern California. The people you see here are preparing to film part of a projected sequel to Death Wish. The original, in 1974, was violent, controversial, and very successful. Charles Bronson played a New Yorker whose family was brutalized by thugs. In a spirit of vengeance, he goes looking for thugs, any thugs, and kills them. Critics were shocked both by the vigilante executions on the screen and the cheers they received from the audience. The movie ended with Bronson heading west, and the location for the sequel is Los Angeles. Otherwise, it could be a remake. Once again, Bronson's family is brutalized, and once again, he seeks violent revenge. Why on earth are they doing it again, except for sheer exploitation? Well, here's one difference. The director of both films, Michael Winner, promises the sequel will be even more bloody than the original. Winner's from England, where recently they've had their own problems with violence. But he still sees it as an American specialty, and he seems to admire us for it.
Well, America is a more violent society than most of the Western societies, and it has its own particular economic and cultural reason for that. Any violent society tends to produce the greater artists, the greater vibrancy, the most interesting culture. You know, Switzerland, which has been very non-violent, as was said in The Third Man, has produced the cuckoo clock.
The actor who plays the part of Slick. Slick, you're walking very slowly for a stuntman.
I think when I was at school and brought up on films, violence was very dishonestly represented in the, for example, in the John Wayne War films. War was shown as kind of a cheerful, up-and-atom college spree. And if someone was shot, they rolled over rather nicely. And somebody said, "There goes poor John." And he was gone. It's a real shock to you, Lawrence, because you thought it was a musical comedy. Not. He's not even dancing, Lawrence. He's dead. He's dead. Right.
Standing by for picture.
Action.
Today, violence is more honestly shown. You do show that when you're shot, rather nasty things happen to your body.
Now, everyone is ready to stand by, yes, because the blood is the last thing to go on.
Presumably, once people see how horrible violence really is, they'll commit less of it. Or would they commit more of it? In the meantime, Michael Winner claims he's just answering a popular need.
People don't want to just see people talking. They like to see action.
The big thing that's going to sell it is the heels coming up.
In cinema, it gives the public something that they can't see on television, because violence is very edited down in television. And that's very important today. If you're selling tickets, you've got to give people something that they can't see for free elsewhere. Action!
If, like Michael Winner, you want to do things with a human body that you can't see elsewhere, then you go to Stan Berman. His work combines painting and sculpture with high technology.
For Heaven's Gate, what we designed was the path of the bullet. For instance, you'll see a girl ride up on a horse, and she's shot, and the bullet goes through the palm of her hand, out the back of her hand, hitting her in the cheek, and passing out through the back of her head. I think probably the most commonly asked for act of violence is decapitation.
This is a decapitation of Garrett Graham, the picture Demon Seed. Again, this was from The Beast Within. His head was torn off by this beast monster. This was kind of a unique head that we had to make. Shows the process of beginning. This is a gelatin face. We put that head in a situation where you now see it the way it was photographed, and this big monstrous bear in Prophecy just crushed her face on camera, and it was rigged for bleeding and animation, and this was supposedly her father. We did this exact same thing.
In the last 10 years, people have discovered, money people, have discovered that this kind of graphic repulsion, this kind of very vivid blood-letting films make a lot of money. They make a tremendous amount of money. So films are now in competition. People are trying to outdo each other. And they come to me and they ask me, what can we do? And we don't want it like the last one. We want it more graphic. We want it much more real. We want much more animation. We want an absolute feeling of reality.
For the ultimate in reality, Winner, the director, threw in 2 more rape scenes. That was too much even for the man who wrote the original screenplay, David Engelbach.
I think there's a lot of fear out there, just fear. And I think that one of the things I'd hoped to do with this film was to create a catharsis for the audience, to to allow them to get out some of that fear and that anger by watching someone they can identify with take the law in their own hands and mete justice out. I don't feel that that's necessarily compatible with creating sequences of personal, graphic violence against women.
She goes, and there she goes. And she is not having a good day. For a rape scene, you have to have people who are very, very uninhibited, who are prepared, as it were, to have a go and not worry about nudity or about what they're doing. So we actually have rape rehearsals where they usually rape furniture. We don't put anyone in with them. And we pick out the most uninhibited and inventive actors for these scenes. This is a rough cut of a scene where the muggers come into the house of Charles Bronson, hoping to find him, but in fact just find his housekeeper, and therefore they taunt and attack and later rape the housekeeper. This is rather the introductory moments where they're taunting her and talking about her and starting to undress her and play about with her. In the first script I got, you didn't see a rape, no, you saw a murder. But I think that the whole weight of the film depends on the 5 muggers in Death Wish 2 being so hateful and so horrible and doing things to people who are so nice. Terribly important that their victims are very nice. But the audience then is geared up to wish them ill and delighted and in a way happy when ill befalls them. You see a certain amount of nudity. You don't see the nudity you would see in your porno theatre, of course, but you see a semblance of vicious attack, which often, by not going as far as in the porno theatre, I think can be more exciting in a way and more horrible.
Stan Berman agrees with Winner on the power of suggestion.
The real horror is in our own mind. It's the fear of the unknown. Once you get to see it, it's a relief because it's over. Not being able to quite see that actual act of violence, not being able to scrutinize it, it's much more terrorizing.
Then why does Berman continue making props that leave nothing to the imagination, all the while wondering if he might be helping activate potential psychopaths in the audience?
The more realistic I get, I don't know what that does to the person who is beyond fascination. A person who has those problems, I don't know what kind of response there is. I would like to stop doing this. But the money's very good. The money's very good. I've been able to make a very, very good living. I would like to go on to something else.
Why don't you put that in the bag? Well, I'll start on the other arm. Okay.
Action! You know, when Shakespeare did his plays, he had people carrying on 7 heads on sticks and slitting throats. He had a better script than we do, of course, but that's what he did. Well, he's going to go like 5 miles an hour, Richard. We want to at least double his speed or more. Violence has had a place in drama through recorded time, and it's had a place in life through recorded time. And if for thousands of years people have been mugging, raping, beating, robbing, and all the things they are still doing, it can hardly be blamed on the cinema or television, which has only been going since 1910.
All right, you can put it out.
Dr. Hezakya, does the violence that we see in the movies and on television cause more violence in real life?
Unquestionably, there are several hundred research studies that show the violence that we've just finished seeing is exactly the type that we're talking about. Definitely teaches and increases violence and fear in real life in large amounts.
David Cronenberg?
I believe that watching violence on television and movies affects people. I don't agree that it affects it in the way that Dr. Hezakya seems so certain it does.
Mrs. Osborne?
Those pictures that we just saw
that I just saw, I won't forget. They'll live in my mind. It's the old cliche that a picture's worth 1,000 words. And the short-term profit that is being made, I honestly believe is going to lead to long-term bankruptcy.
We'll have more to say about all of this when we return.
Presenting the fruit, the whole fruit, and nothing but the fruit, with no sugar added. Libby Light Fruits. Fresh fruit with no sugar added in Libby's own flavored blend of real fruit juices.
A delicious fresh fruit taste.
Fresh fruit and real fruit juices. Tastes great.
Natural tasting without all the sugar. That's light.
Libby Light Fruits with no sugar added. America's favorite light fruits because you taste the fruit, the whole fruit, and nothing but the fruit.
Shine it up, shine it down, spread that glass, plus shine around, shine all around.
If I've got to clean, I want something to show for it. I clean with Glass Plus and show off the shine. Windows to chrome, plus a whole lot more. Look anywhere in my house, there's a shine all around.
Shine it here, shine it there, Glass Plus shines up everywhere.
It shines glass, plus a whole lot more.
For a moist, super moist cake, Creamy Deluxe is the only frosting that's good enough, cause it's buttercream creamy.
We did it!
Make someone happy, you and Betty Crocker can.
The buttercream creaminess of Creamy Deluxe. It's the only way to frost the incredible moistness of a super moist cake.
You and Betty Crocker can.
We did it!
Make someone happy.
Sears presents the coat you can wear anywhere.
This week, save $12 on this Easy Wear and Easy Kieran Pile Pat coat. Now just $27.99. Easy wearing because it's lightweight for comfort and quilted for warmth. Easy Kieran because it's machine washable. The Sears pant coat to wear anywhere in 4 cozy colors, now just $27.99. But hurry, sale ends Saturday.
For a coat you can count on Sears.
Mrs. Osborne, what's your opinion of movie violence, television violence, and of people like Mr. Winter, we saw in the film, and Mr. Cronenberg, who says he makes different films, but still your characters do pretty violent things?
Yes, they're violent films, I agree.
Well, overall, visual violence, the quantity is the thing that I find just staggering in the past 15 or 20 years. Even if you want to assume the role as a responsible parent and try to monitor the films that your children see, the television programming that your children see, you are still living in a society that is raised with more visual violence than in any other time in history. And the allusions that are made on that film to Shakespeare, etc., you don't have millions of people.
I have to disagree with you about being more visually exposed to violence than any other time in history. I mean, that's an incredible statement to make. The Middle Ages was full, absolutely full of violent imagery. It's true they didn't have television, but church imagery was all incredibly violent. The saints with the arrows going through their bodies, and
you're not spending 4 hours, 5 hours a day.
Well, all I know is that the medieval European culture.
That's showing the consequences of violence. That's not showing the violence. Okay, what you folks are showing is you're showing the killing. You're showing and glorifying it, making it really exciting.
Well, I don't know that
the saints with arrows. Oh, come on.
Well, no, wait a second. I mean, that was one example that you're jumping on, but I mean, anyone familiar with other eras of history know there are plays that were strictly violent. Punch and Judy is a violent play. The Grand Guignol in Paris of the late 1800s is violent. It was actually a horror theater.
No, Winter says in the film that we saw that when you depict that violence so realistically, so graphically, that people can see how horrible it is, that they're less inclined to go out and commit a violent act.
No, I think they become more fearful. There are a small percentage of people who will imitate behavior that they see on television. And in fact, the imitation factor is the whole basis of advertising. You are presented with a scene and it's made to look glamorous or enticing, And imitative behavior is the name of the game.
I wouldn't call the scenes that we saw in that clip.
Well, they also.
Well, you didn't get to see the scenes later on. Those are the scenes that make you anxious. The scenes later on where you have the revenge, where the good guy becomes violent and it's glamorized, then that is the scenes. Actually, a large percentage of people will be affected by programs and will become more anxious and more irritable and angry.
I mean, Mr. Winter said that people cheer. Oh, well, actually, it was the narrator, I think, said that people cheered when Charles Bronson shot all these bad guys. How do you interpret that? Don't you interpret that as an audience having some fantasy revenge against frustrations and things in their real lives that they could not really do in their real life? I mean, I don't...
That's exactly the people that cheer, and when you have a program where people are cheering violence, research shows that those are the people most strongly affected by what they're seeing, who will be most likely to imitate violence when you then take them into a setting. That's the research.
Using myself as my basic test case, because I'm not, I mean, you have a professional reason for looking at statistics and accumulating them. I don't. But as myself, as a child raised on, yes, they were Hopalong Cassidy movies, but I'm sure if you counted violent acts per half hour, you would find quite a few of them, up to now. And real violence, when I'm exposed to a fist fight in a parking lot, I get weak in the knees and I feel physically ill. It's always been like that. I have never been in a fist fight. I abhor violence in reality.
Have you been exposed to a fist fight in a parking lot?
Well, very rarely, in fact, very rarely.
Let me show you the big fantasy movie, the big hit of the past summer, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I went to see the film. There was one scene where Harrison Ford had just wiped out every bad guy who had confronted him, and now he's face to face with the most expert swordsman of the Middle East.
Yeah.
There's no way he's going to outdo this guy. He just leans back, pulls out his gun, shoots him. I cheered along with everyone in that theater. It was fantastic. Now, does that mean that I'm going to go out and commit a violent act?
No, that doesn't mean you're going to go out and commit a violent act, but that means that there is some slightly greater chance that you might be more irritable, more angry if you were placed in a difficult situation sometime in the near future after that. Yes, it does mean that we can be affected. It's interesting, 65% of people think that other people are affected, but only 3% think that they themselves are affected. And the research would show the majority of us are affected even in just after several hours of viewing.
Would you agree with that?
I'm not clear enough on the research. I do know that children, I have my own as an example, if they're exposed to a lot of violence, that it does affect their behavior.
Thank you all for being with us. We're out of time. You've been watching Dr. Thomas Hezakya, who's the head of the National Coalition on Television Violence, David Cronenberg, who's a movie writer and director from Canada, and Townes Osborne, who's the president of the Washington Association for Television and Children. We'll have more in a moment.
These Palmolive suds last and last.
And last and last and last. Us Palmolive suds don't know the meaning of the word quit, but we sure know what value means. Palmolive liquid is concentrated to last.
One squirt did all these dishes.
What'd you call a squirt?
So you buy Palmolive less often than many brands and save.
Ah, a head for value and soft Palmolive hands for kissing.
Oh.
Palmolive saves money because the suds last and last and last.
Now new improved Colgate tastes better than ever.
You get the fluoride in the taste when the clean in your mouth is Colgate.
100% pure mint taste. Better than ever.
And Colgate's got the maximum fluoride protection you can get in any toothpaste.
Proven fluoride protection.
Get the fluoride in the taste when the clean in your mouth is Colgate.
Get new improved Colgate. Pure mint taste.
Maximum fluoride protection.
Smooth moves. They're all yours in the JCPenney Motion Pant. It's just like the famous name pant, and it fits like nobody's business. So tie it in, move it out, top it off, shift it into high gear, or play it to the hilt. The smooth-moving JCPenney Motion Pant. It's yours for a zippy little $18 at JCPenney.
The world's largest beauty company is coming to get you.
And I'm gonna make
make you feel beautiful.
We're gonna make you feel beautiful. Put a smile on your face.
Watch out, world. You're going to be beautiful.
Make you feel like a star.
This color in your new sweater, beautiful.
We're gonna make you feel beautiful. With Avon, we're gonna make you feel beautiful. Yes, we are.
Now, some thoughts from Bob Keeshan on violent and nonviolent movies.
In our film report today, you heard a movie director justifying the graphic violence in his pictures by saying, people don't want to see people just talking. They like to see action. Oh, sure. But is action always the same as violence? Think back over the major movies of recent years. Now, leave out the musicals and light comedies. They don't count here. What's left? On the one hand, that endless parade of cops and robbers whom we see in cities, on the plains, and even between galaxies. On the other, there are those films, usually the better ones, in which there is conflict, resolution, and change, without violence. For example, in The Graduate, the young hero changes from a boy to a man. We see it happen because of what he and the people around him do and say. Nobody hits anybody. The action in Midnight Cowboy is the developing friendship between two lonely men. In First Monday in October, we watch the Supreme Court justices adapting to the first woman justice in their midst. I've only started this list of films that have action without violence. You could add your own examples. But clearly, it's sheer nonsense to say movies must be violent before people will go to see them.
Introducing Lay's potato chips in a great new taste. It's so delicious, it'll make you say,
Cheese! Cheese!
yes, these new Lay's brand potato chips have the zesty flavor of real cheese. One crunch and you'll say,
Yay! Cheese!
new Lay's zesty cheese flavored potato chips. So delicious, they make you say,
Cheese!
Okay, America, show us your underalls.
Underalls, pantyhose and panties all in one are only visible at department and other fine stores.
Tisk, tisk, the rest of you. Show us your underalls.
Believe it or not, there's one anti-crime technique that actually seems to work, at least in those neighborhoods where it's been tried. We're talking about civilian anti-crime patrols. In a time of reduced police budgets, are these groups really the answer? Or are they merely vigilante groups who create more problems than they solve? We'll see tomorrow. I'm Ed Bradley, and that's Up to the Minute, Up to the Minute.
Stay tuned for a very special All About Growing Up. What you feel and what happens when boys become men on The Body Human. The Facts for Boys, next.
For most people, the federal minimum wage is $3.35 an hour. You may be one of them. Contact the U.S. Department of Labor.
Tonight, the conclusion of Valley of the Dolls 1981. Lives are changing. Some fight the change.
Are you having an affair with our lion?
And some want the change.
He can never make you anything but unhappy, Anne.
A 3-hour motion picture. Catherine Hicks and James Coburn, Valley of the Dolls 1981. Tonight at 8, 7 Central and Mountain. This is CBS.
Meet Lenny the Loser. Funny they call him that because Lenny's won millions. He won a fortune on the Kentucky Derby. He won top prize in a lottery. He broke the bank in Las Vegas. Trouble is, all Lenny's wins have been in his imagination. He's never realized that to win it, you've got to be in it. 1 million New Yorkers could tell Lenny that.
I was in it, and I won it!
The game that's making New Yorkers millionaires. Yet all it takes is $1 to play the exciting weekly game that could change your life. So get in it to win. I'm in it this week.
Tonight on Channel 2, a newsbreaker report, kids and casinos.
The first time I pulled a slot machine, I was about 4 years old.
They're sneaking into the casinos and defying the law.
Children being children, they love to do things they're not supposed to.
Could it lead to a lifelong addiction?
Once or twice I did steal from my parents.
Roseanne Coletti explores the heartbreak of the boardwalk in her newsbreaker report, Poor Losers, tonight at 6 and 11 on Channel 2.
The curtain's going up on the new fall TV season, and nothing gets you into it like TV Guide. Pick up the new issue today.
Strange and Spooky Week begins Wednesday.
Barnaby Jones will not be seen in order to bring you a special presentation of The Body Human Becoming a Man. The Joker's Wild will be seen following this special presentation.
What's your girlfriend's name?
Louisa.
So she's a freshman too?
Mm-hmm.
How long you been going with her?
2 years.
She sits alone, waiting for suggestions. He's so nervous, avoiding all the questions. His lips are dry, her heart's gently pounding. Don't you just know exactly what they're thinking?
I say nobody's got all the answers to a boy's growing up. But know something? It's not as complicated as it's cracked up to be. And it can be a heck of a lot of fun, too.
Get rid of his chain. Get rid of it. Give it to your feet. He's going to take it from you. He's my hero.
Changing from a boy to a man is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. It means you've made the team.
You going to try this?
Grown up.
Don't hurt yourself.
With a new body. And with new feelings.
Okay, whoa.
And new responsibilities. I'm Ken Howard. I've been through it all.
What about your girlfriend? Yeah.
My girlfriend?
Yeah.
I married my girlfriend.
Woo! Already booked, huh?
Just like you're going through growing up